Hello everyone, my name is Rue, and this is my story. Before I continue, please like and subscribe to MSA. I was brought up by a single dad who worked very hard to give me a good life. We didn't have much, but Dad and I had each other and it was enough.
Always work hard and success will follow. Got that, little birdie?
I'll say yes if you buy me ice cream. Dad and I were close, and we would talk about everything under the sun. Well, everything except Mom. Every time I tried asking Dad about Mom, he would avoid the topic like the plague, and eventually I stopped asking. Growing up, I fell in love with music. It was my dream to become a singer, and at 19, my dream finally came true when I got an invitation to audition for a famous all-girls group, the Masked Minx. These girls were super famous, but no one knew what they looked like because they always performed with a mask on. I was pretty excited, but the only thing was to convince Dad.
But I've never been away from you, and you're too young to travel alone. What if you get in some trouble?
Then come with me.
I wish I could, but I have a work trip coming up.
I just know if I had a mom, it would be easier for both of us. She could take me on this trip and you could go to work, Dad. Well, I guess I am that unlucky. No mom, no trips. Sucks, but I know you're doing your best, Dad.
Hey, we're very lucky to have each other. I guess I can make some time and take you, but you have to promise that you'll quit bringing up these stories of your mom.
I promise. And just like that, Dad and I were on a plane to London. The band had arranged for us to fly first class, and when we finally arrived, I was excited to be welcomed at the airport by a personal chauffeur. Soon after, we reached the hotel where we were staying, and it was also the venue for the auditions. I hugged my dad and entered the audition room, but it was empty. Just then, someone tapped on my shoulder. I turned around and almost passed out. It was a girl, and she had the exact same face as mine, only more polished and prettier. Okay, I know that we have at least 7 people who look exactly like you, but dude, this is beyond freaky. Who are you? Firstly, please don't touch me. I hate being touched. Too many germs. And secondly, I am Ava, and I'm your twin sister. My what? Ava went on to tell me about how we were twins and that our parents separated shortly after we were born. She was raised by our mom, while Dad stayed back in America with me. She was a singer too, but recently she discovered that she had laryngitis and her singing career was basically over. I was the one who sent you the mail and called you here. I have a very important tour coming up, and since I can't sing, I need you to take my place. You'll get a lot of money, and I won't lose my contracts. If you do a good job, maybe I can get my friend in the USA to sign you for his record label. Okay, slow down. Can we take a step back? You're one of the Masked Minx, and you want me to sing for you? That's right. Are you crazy? I just found out I have a twin sister, and my head is already spinning, and I'm so close to having a panic attack. Ooh, 1 second. Even if, in some parallel reality, this whole thing was true, I would still have to tell my dad about you. Your dad, our dad, can't know that we've met. I do not want him to get suspicious. Mom has always told me how Dad has hated her all her life, and now I don't want him to take you away. Please, Rue, help me. How do I even know you're my sister? Ava showed me a copy of my birth certificate and a few pictures of us together as babies, but I couldn't trust her. So before I agreed, I placed a condition. I'll agree if you make me meet Mom. Deal. Dad was waiting for me in the hotel lobby, and I felt so angry by looking at his face. How could he hide such a big truth from me? I wanted to confront Dad, but I also wanted to meet Mom, so I decided to stay quiet and go with the flow. I went back to my room and dozed off, and hours later, I was woken up by a frantic call from Ava. I need to see you. Now, come to the lobby and I'm sending a car. I got dressed urgently and did as Ava asked. We met at a restaurant where Ava walked in with the most gorgeous guy on her arm. She introduced him as Jason, her boyfriend, and I just couldn't stop staring at how perfect he was. I need you to convince Dad to pay $100,000 to my manager. Yeah, he's very cute. Wait, sorry, what? I need money, and I promise you will get back much more money when I get you signed on at my friend's record label. Why do you need so much money suddenly? To make arrangements for my tour. Why else? Mom spent all the money I made on my treatment, and I have no savings left. Please, if you do this, I will take you to see Mom. I promise. I was a little taken aback, but I wanted to see my mom so desperately. So I agreed to help Ava out. But Dad would never let go of such a huge amount, so my only other option was Grandpa. He owned several big shopping malls all over the country, and he always told me that I could ask for anything. I called my grandpa and explained the situation to him. He was so happy that I finally met my twin. He apologized for not telling me all this time and promised to help with the money. The next day, Ava let me practice with her background singers and dancers, and I got such a rush out of it. She even let me sign some autographs for her fans on her behalf, and I loved being in the spotlight. After the practice, Ava and I were on our way back when I asked her if I could meet Mom. Not yet. Mom just had a minor heart attack last month, and seeing you might put her into shock, so we need to wait. Meanwhile, could you be a doll and get me some more money? Why? I've already spent enough, Ava. I need to see Mom now, or I will call off the deal. I asked the driver to stop the car and walked out feeling confused and angry. I wanted to cry because I had just lost my grandpa his $100,000 and I still hadn't seen my mom. I was outside the hotel when suddenly someone yanked at my arm. Jason, what do you think you're doing?
Listen to me carefully, Rue. You have to get out of here. Ava and her mom are bad news. I heard Ava's mom talking about how they're going to drain your dad's finances. I think you're a really nice person, so please just tell your dad the truth and go back home.
And why should I trust you over my own family?
Because I know them? I've been with Ava long enough to know when she's lying, and her mother is no saint.
She's my mom too, and I think I'm old enough to know what's right and wrong, so thank you, but I'll take it from here. Saying that, I turned around and left, but Jason's words kept ringing in my head. I couldn't sleep a wink that night, and the next morning, I decided to finally tell Dad everything, but he was nowhere to be found. So I went downstairs and saw him talking to a strange woman in the hotel lobby. I walked up to him, and when he saw me, he turned white.
What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same thing.
This is Claire, your mom. I am so sorry you had to find out like this, and I know you met your twin. Your grandpa called me after Claire called him demanding for $1 million. We will be heading home tomorrow. I was just saying goodbye.
So you're saying goodbye and I don't even deserve a hello? How is that fair? Don't blame your dad, sweetie. Don't call me sweetie. You know why I asked Ava to meet you? So I could stand in front of you and ask you how you could abandon your own child. I could only afford to bring up one child, and I randomly picked Ava. Not that it was a good decision. She's pretty much useless now. Your absolute disregard for humanity amazes me. And thank God I never got a chance to know you, or I would be the only kid in the world who hates their own mother. I turned around and ran to my room. An hour later, Dad showed up and told me the whole truth about how Claire had been using the excuse of raising Ava alone to get money from both my dad and Grandpa, and they kept it as a secret to protect me. You could have told me the truth.
You would have gone behind her anyway, little birdie. I know you that much.
Dad and I left for home that night, but I couldn't go back without meeting Ava, so I asked her to meet me at the airport, and surprisingly, she showed up. I introduced her to Dad. He was so happy, and he hugged her and shed tears. Ava and I sat down, and I told her about what Mom had said. Mom didn't raise me. She gave me up at birth, and I lived in an orphanage. I only got back with her a few years back when someone from the orphanage told her about my singing talent, and since then, she's been trying to use me as a money-making machine. I hate her. Then come with us. Dad and I would love to have you. I would love to, but I can't. I still have so many debts to pay because of Claire. I tried to convince Ava, but she refused. And soon after, Dad and I boarded the flight and left. Weeks passed, but I felt an empty pit in my stomach every time I thought about Ava. She was all alone, fighting my dragon of a mother, and I had to do something to help her, so I turned to Jason for help.
I told you, stay away from her. She and her mom are crooks.
My mom's using Ava. Please, Jason. She's my sister and your girlfriend. We have to help her out.
Okay, this might be a long shot, but what if we do a concert as Ava? It'll be like a face reveal tour. I know a few people who could help us find a band, and we will use social media to spread the word and see where it goes.
And what if I'm not that good?
I've heard you sing, Rue. You'll be just fine.
We spoke to Ava, and she was on board. Jason came down the next week, and we spent days planning every second of the concert. Even my grandpa stepped in to give us a little money. Our posts on social media were very well received, and soon enough, almost all the tickets were sold out. Then one night, I was grabbing coffee when I saw Jason at the same cafe, engrossed in a book. That seems like a heavy read.
It's about kids who grew up in an orphanage. I was one of them.
I'm sorry, Jason. That must have been tough.
It was, but it made me who I am. And besides, I found a great family who loves me and adores me. You learn to find family in unexpected places.
Our conversation flowed from there. We talked about our pasts, our dreams, our fears. I shared about the loneliness I felt growing up without a mother, and he spoke of the challenges of growing up without a family at all. I'd never connected with anyone like this before, and it was truly amazing. One night before the performance, I was nervously checking out the stage when Jason slid his hand inside mine. I just hope it works.
I'm sure it will. And Rue, it's amazing what you're doing for Ava. Not everyone has this kind of heart.
Not everyone gets a second chance with their families either. Trust me, I'm doing this for myself. Jason came forward, gently stroked my cheeks, and I felt my face on fire. And before I could react, he leaned in and kissed me, but I pushed him away. This is not right. You're with Ava.
No, I'm not. Ava and I were just dating for the public. Trust me, we mean nothing to each other.
She's still my sister, and You and I have to respect that. I walked away from Jason knowing I really wanted the kiss, but family is more important, so I decided to put my feelings aside and concentrate on the bigger picture. The next night was the concert, and it was a huge hit. We collected a lot of money, and when Ava found out, she was beyond happy. That night, I slept with the best feeling ever, but the next morning, my dad shook me awake, and then he told me the most shocking news of my life. Apparently, Ava had turned down my offer to move in with me and Dad, and instead, she slapped me with a legal notice for impersonating her without her permission. The only way she would take her complaint back was if my dad agreed to pay her $10 million. I feel so stupid for wanting to help her.
It's not your fault. I guess she's just more like your mom than you thought.
I could not stop crying because I knew this was going to make me and Dad so poor. I had to come up with a solution before we ended up homeless, so I decided to approach Ava, but my calls and messages went unanswered. I was running out of options when a couple of days later, Ava showed up at my front door along with Jason. What are you doing here? I ran away. I'm finally free. Free to do what? Brand me as a liar? I tried to help you, and you threatened to sue me. It wasn't me. It was all Claire's idea. Apparently, Claire had taken all of Ava's phones, and she was the one who had sent the notice in Ava's name.
I'd gone back home to talk to Ava in person, but she was missing.
I tried to tell her how wrong this was, but she just locked me up. But somehow I ran away and hid at my friend's place till Jason found me. I'm so sorry, Rue. It's okay. All that matters is that now you're here and you're safe. I hugged Ava tight, and the two of us told Dad everything. He got the best lawyers, and with Ava's testimony, Claire landed in jail for exploiting a minor against her will and cheating Dad out of his money. She just called the house one day and begged me to take her back as our mom. I made a mistake. Please forgive me. I'm your mother. You can't send me to jail. Oh, yes, we can. Just like you sent Ava to an orphanage, and just like you abandoned me and my father. Now it's time for payback, and you're gonna get yours. Dang right you will. Soon after Mom went to jail, Ava and I decided to share our story with the world, and it was very well received. We became famous and even launched our music careers. I sang and Ava played the piano. One day as we were done performing, Ava hugged me tight and whispered in my ear, "Jason's here to see you. Don't worry. He told me everything about how you both are pigeon heads and were ready to sacrifice your love for me. So, you don't have a problem?" "No, dummy. I never loved him the way you do. Go on. He's all yours." I was so happy. I rushed backstage and saw Jason waiting for me. Without thinking, I threw my arms around him and pulled him in. I know too much has happened, but I'm ready to move on if you are.
I'm 10 steps ahead of you, babe.
I learned that sometimes the people related to you can hurt you the most, and you always have to be ready for anything.